Alright, everybody out there in YouTube land, Rockin' Dave from Southwest Florida. Thank everyone for tuning in. We are going to do today's video just on gigs with using small amps. Next week, we're going to do gigs surviving on cash only. I want to say, hey, Ben Coombs out there. I want to say hi to Mr. Bruce. And all is out there that is tuning in. I really appreciate this, guys. And thank you for all the support and all the subscribers. I know yesterday I did kind of like a surprise, live shot. I was running out of time on my phone, and I wanted to give out a little bit of the video to a guy by the name of Ed Dana, because he had asked what kind of guitar this was. And this is, the Epiphone, the Gibson Epiphone Spotlight, aka the Lawsuit guitar. And I figured, well, I was out in my lanai yesterday, and of course it's raining cats and dogs yesterday, so I figured, well, I'm going to make life simple. I have not used my old Hughes and Kettner in a while, and I just decided to use that. This is a 60-watt amp that is actually plenty for smaller gigs, even with a band, which you might have to do. I have the amp elevated on a Stanley tool case, but you probably have to just elevate it, for up at your ear. R2 R3 locking up. What's happening, my friends? Thank you for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. This is called the Edition Blue 60 watt Edition Blue 60R. And if I could just get this kind of turned down a little bit, all the controls are up here. The top screen does light up blue, like typical Hughes and Kettner. It is a 12-inch combo. There is I believe it's a 75-watt Celestion G75, because I did take the back panel off when I first got it, just to check it out. And actually, the back panel, it doesn't come down all the way, so it's kind of ported, so it gives a little bit of punch to it. I did not get the foot switch with this amp. So you have the button for channel switching, but it does have a jack for a foot switch, line out, line in. You could substitute that for your effects loop, foot switch jack, and headphone jack, and then of course the guitar input jack is over here. It's a real simple amp. I mean, it's just basic. Volume, the clean channel is sharing the same EQ as the overdrive channel, so you have your EQ. I really wish I had another camera to, show the overhead, but let me just tip this down. So this is your input jack, your volume, your channel selecting switch, your lead channel, which is just gain and master. Here's your bass, mid, treble EQ. Here's your reverb, and here's your overall master, master volume. And then that's your line out, line in, foot switch, and headphones. So your line out and line in could be substituted for effects loop, or if you want to send this out to a recorder or daisy chain another amp like we used to do back in the 80s, because we had no choice, we had to. Learned a lot of stuff back then, my friends. Learned a lot because we didn't have that much. Hey, we took whatever we could get back then, Back then, no one would ever expect Peavey to surpass Marshall in a way. And what I mean by that is when Peavey started coming out with their high gain amps, the one that stands out, I think, that started giving them more of a recognition was the Triple X. And then I know Joe Satriani had his signature model, and I think that was based off the Triple X. And of course the 5150, which is now the 6505. And I'm sure there's a little bit of a variance between the 5150 and the 6505. But I plugged into that 60 watt combo, 112 combo, and it was like, holy crap. So for modern metal, yeah, it is. It really has surpassed, tongue-tied, man. Marshall. But Marshall makes a comeback anyway, you know. This amp literally weighs about between 10 and 12 pounds. It's not that heavy at all. And it has a great sound. So, I mean, you can get by with doing a small gig or even a big gig. You know, if you got a good sound person, you mic it. Reconnecting. Okay, yeah, it's cloudy down here. Sorry, guys, there's a drop out there. But you know, it depends. If you've got a loud drummer, obviously, you know, you could the more wattage and the more speakers you have, you get a bigger sound. Well, sorry about that, guys. I'm having a little bit of problem here, dropping out. Okay, let's hope that we don't have any more problems. See, it's rainy season down here in Florida, so you know, what could you do, right? Adam EVH, what's happening, my friend? Everyone at our metal stage rocks, man. Ben Coombs, hey, I saw your video. I was not able to get on your live chat just a little while ago, but I did see the video, and yeah, that's sad news, man. Yeah, what's happening, man? Yeah, our metal stage. You guys rock. See, that's how I found out about a lot of you guys. Shane from In the Blues had something going on, and I guess he was being interviewed by our metal stage. So you know how things, they link. You know, next thing you know, for instance, you go down, you type in guitar, right, and then you get everything guitar related, and then everything, all of a sudden, everything else pops up that relates to it, and that's how I found, you know, our metal stage, and I thought it was awesome. It's either that or maybe I think Shane had mentioned it. So right away I typed in, ooh, our metal stage, you know. So our metal stage, and you guys had Shane on. And then how I got in touch with Joe Wentz was his emblem, you know. Because, I mean, I'm looking at things with a tiny little phone, you know. That's how advanced in this wonderful world of technology I am right now. It's convenient for me, that's why. But, you know, how everything, one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, oh, look at this, Lance Moss. How you doing, my friend? Yeah, I've been subscribing to a lot of people that I'll see in the live chats, and, you know, I'll put a shout out that I'm going to do a live chat, and, you know, and hoping that does not disrespect anybody, because I know there's sometimes these people that put stuff up, and they got something bad to say about somebody. I'm like, you know, what the hell? Why do that, you know? So I just do that just so I could say, hey, if you guys want to join in, you know, here it is. It's on this time, this day, and blah, 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 you know. But I do. I try to hit everyone's subscription in that. And so my wall of recognition, I'm going to call it, well, I'm going to have all you guys' names on there. So when people are watching, especially on the reruns, because everybody, whatever they can't watch now, they look up on the reruns. And then they'll start to see. And I'm going to have everyone's name on it. It'll say subscribe, and it'll have everybody's name down there. I just believe in fairness, you know. But anyways, so can you gig with small amps? Ben Coombs, hey. Just a fly. No problem, man. No problem, man. No, don't worry about it. No, the last live stream, don't worry about it, guys. Jim Guitry, how are you doing, my friend? Yeah, I never take anything personal, you know, because everyone's got busy lives, you know. Even when someone says, you know, Dave, I really don't like that type of style that you're playing, so it's not for me. I'm not gonna cry and wet the bed over it, you know. You know what one person does, you might like, and then maybe another thing they do you might not like. I mean, there are times I listen to the playback and I'm not too thrilled about what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, I could have done it a little better. You know what I mean? So, okay, so. Now, obviously, with an amp like this, it does have a lot of punch to it for its size and its weight, which is nice. The advantage of having the digital modeling amps and with the built-in effects it does make a quicker setup and tear down time. And if you have less pedals on the ground, that works out great. I know the Sinner, what's up, brother? I know the Marshall Code series. The kind of cool thing about that is that you could kind of alter its power amp stage. Now, here's the thing. These digital amps, no matter what they claim. Dry Heat, how you doing, buddy? These digital modeling amps, they honestly will never replace a tube amp. You know, they'll get close. I mean, they'll get pretty close to a sound, you know. But there's also that feel and there's that warmth that you get with a tube amp that nothing can match it. I've only had 2 tube amplifiers back in the day. Sean Zimmerman, how you doing, man, friend? How's it going, buddy? And the two tube amps I had was I think it was back in 1981. You know, I was going through all these trade-in deals. Was my Marshall Super Lead Series 100 212 combo amp, and it was basically what people were telling me. It was the plexiglass. They stuck it into a 212 combo, and me like a dummy. Well, it was the style of music I was into at the time. I traded in for the Peavey Special 130 with the Scorpion speaker. So, not a really smart move. But the other tube amp I had was a Fender Twin Reverb with 2 Altec Lansing speakers in it. I bought it at Guitar Center in Chicago when it was on Milwaukee Avenue. I did not own a car, so I took the CTA bus, public transportation, and, with my luck, sorry guys, keep it in the dropouts. As I was saying, see, with my luck, dropouts, right? With my luck, when the bus pulled up, it was packed. Everybody was standing. I'm like, oh, crap. So I get on the bus with the thing. Thank God it had casters. It had wheels, I get on the bus, and the whole bus is tilting to the side, and the bus driver's looking at me like, look at this long-haired, creepy guy. Because, see, back then, in 1980, well, I bought it, in 84? Yeah, 1984. Guitar was still that evil rock and roll, and anyone that was, a bus driver or had a suit on, they were in a different world than us rockers. It was us versus them. Now the bus drivers, they can't wait to get to Guitar Center. You know what I mean? Or a lot of the local mom and pop shops, thank God for that. But, it was a heavy amp, and then I had to change the tubes and that. So, I mean, I love tube amps. They really sound great. But there is a convenience with the solid-state amps. You don't have to worry about changing tubes, and all of that. And there are some people that do carry extra set of tubes, which is smart, but then you got to get the amp bias. I don't know if it's all the time, to be honest with you, because it's been a long time since I had a tube amp. But anyways, I do remember doing a gig when I was in this top 40 band, and this was back in '87. And it was top 40. I think we did a couple of rock songs, and as heavy as we got was Bon Jovi's "You Give Love a Bad Name." So that'll kind of tell you exactly what was going on, But I mean, it was a good experience. We also did stuff by Kool and the Gang and all this and that. But so, anyways, we were doing this gig down in Indiana at the Holiday Star Holodome, where the Holiday Star Theater is, and where we were playing at was poolside, and the ceiling had to be at least 250 feet high. I mean, it was huge. And they had the stage set up for us. I literally went in there playing with a Fender 15-watt solid-state amp, with a little 8-inch speaker, mic'd it, and the sound was everywhere. Now, I think this was done by accident. Our drummer, him and the keyboard player owned the PA system, and our drummer would have the mixing board by him. He was able to dial in a really decent sound that it sounded full, Because there's a guy that said something to the fact, when Shane was doing a review on that little Moore little practice amp, and I made a comment that, yeah, I mean, it sounds good, and if you mic it, it'll sound good. If you got to have a sound guy that knows what they're doing, though. And even if you mic it the best you can still tell a little bit of the boxiness, the boxy sound. But the reality is, you work with the best that you can with the tools you have, and you do make the best of it, and you'll get through the gig. Because the reality is, a lot of people do not have trained ears out there, and they don't care. So, and even for the people that do have trained ears, they're not, the smart people are, they're not gonna knock someone that they come in with a little amp, because overall it's gonna be the performance and how well are you able to perform in that situation, get the job done, and make the best of it. The beauty of it is your setup and your teardown time, because I'm sure all of you guys have gigged out there before. If you're not already, you're still gigging. And back in the 80s, remember, it would be always the half stack. Although it wasn't that way for me because I couldn't afford one. But it would always be the half stack, or full stack. And you're playing, especially in the metal bands. You're burning a lot of energy, and next thing you know, you're tired. You're tired from playing. Then you got to tear down and you got to load up, and you're just tired, flat out. Maybe not in the beginning stages, but you do enough gigs, it catches up. It catches up with you. So you do make the best of it, and it works out fine. If you have to do solo gigs, then obviously the small amps work great. You can really get by, because there are times the size of the room is going to matter, because your sound is going to be bouncing over, the walls and things of that nature. So yeah, you could definitely get out there with smaller amps and smaller gear, inexpensive gear. Matter of fact, Simon Williams, how are you, man? Yeah, I'm seeing, yeah, my old 4x, Ben Coombs says, need to get my 4x12 out of storage. Yeah, I have my 4x12, and it's actually, it's the Crate Blue Voodoo 4x12, so it's loaded with the 475 watt Celestions, 16 ohms. It's got the selector switch from 8 to 16, and then you could slave drive. Plus, it's got an input that you could do stereo. So if you have two heads, you can run two heads into this and go stereo. Yeah, I bet no one's ever asked you to turn up. You know what? Sometimes they have, and it's really weird. And it'd be at sometimes these private corporate events. They tell me here's the criteria. So okay, I'll get dressed up and yeah, just bring the classical guitar. So I'll bring that, and next thing I'm jamming. But this is what happens. See, people like to do this, and in the process, of doing that, then they reminisce about the good old days, right? So I'll take some of the rock and metal songs and apply it to acoustic guitar, and the next thing you know, their mind starts to wander, and then they say turn up. But I do try to watch the volume at these type of events, because the person that hands you the paycheck is, the one running the event, so you gotta watch that as well. But then we had a situation. We played this one metal gig, and we actually had the people to ask us to turn down. So okay, but it's a metal club, not a sheet metal shop, but it's a metal club, So, but you get all kinds out there. And quite frankly, all these manufacturers, they're all making good stuff. You don't get tell if they're making bad stuff if it's deemed unsafe. You don't see the back UL rated, Underwriters Laboratory. So when you buy it and you plug it in the wall, you're not stuck to the wall because you're frying, because you're getting electrocuted. But sound is all perception. Like Shane from In the Blues says, it's all suggestive. And that's when you hear it by itself. Now you got to hear it with a full band. It is different when you hear it with backing tracks, because the backing tracks, they're a little bit more controlled. Or live looping. But usually when I do my live looping, I'm plugged into a powered PA speaker, because it's full range. And in my How To Do series, I'm going to put up some videos on how I'm using my Digitech Jam Man and my Digitech RP 360 pedal. And the reason why when I talk about the Digitech products, they've been working for me great, and they're inexpensive, and they're workhorses, because when you're in all different types of situations, including outdoor gigs, that's when you can see how well this gear could handle, heat and humidity. Or if you had to do any gigs like outside in October, when we were still living up in Illinois, we did this gig. Actually, it was a private function this guy's house, and it got cool. It got really, really cool, and there was a bunch of dew on the grass, you know. It was early fall, or I should say mid-fall, and the temperature started to drop. And I'll tell you, that little RP 360, it went, no problems. I had a little bit of moisture on it, but just had to wipe off the pedal, you know. But it really worked out great. So, and of course, the more money you spend, the perception is, the more money you spend, the better quality built. You know, when they say you pay for what you get, there is truth in that. But you have to be careful, because at what point, when you start spending over $1,000, is the difference between $1,000 versus, let's say, $500. There's gonna be some variations there. But now let's talk about, let's say, modulation pedals, coarse pedals and flangers and things of that nature. Some will have more control over the overall effect, and that's fine. But to have that big price difference for maybe the actual difference in performance is maybe like here, but the price difference is like this, that's when you got to start thinking, okay, do I really want to spend that much money, and do I want to take it out at these gigs, you know, running the risk that it could get destroyed. So that's something to think about. But I don't talk anything bad about it, because like the Line 6 Helix, that's a great pedal, man. If you got the money, you want to spend it, absolutely. Because I think JJ's House of Jams, he put up a couple of videos. And yeah, JJ, you're right, man. That thing smokes. That thing is awesome. So, and the same rule applies to some of these amplifiers and the smaller amps, you know. It's a lot easier to walk in with the amp and maybe your effect pedal bag or your case, you know, and just plop it down and you're good to go. I had a guitar student that did not understand the concept of, when you have a head and cabinet, that speaker cord that goes from the head to the cabinet has to be a speaker cord, not an instrument cord. And he really thought, well, what's the difference? It's 1/4 inch. I said, no, you're gonna do some damage. So, okay, side trip to Chicago before Gearfest. Okay. Looks like R2R3 Locking. I just checked. Yeah, see, Gearfest, that's going to be Sweetwater, right? In Indiana. Yeah, we rely more on our PA system these days. Yeah, Dana, hey, what's happening, buddy? I saw a couple of those videos you posted, man. You know, the vintage videos and some of the videos of you playing. You're a good player, man. Good player, and you have a great stage presence. And what I mean by that is, okay, so for the type of music that you're doing, right? If you are throwing the guitar around and playing with your teeth and going like this, it's going to look odd, you know? So a stage presence to me is what fits that criteria and what fits that moment, you know? I have fun doing what I do, but I don't do it all the time, you know, because it's going to look stupid. And trust me, I've made enough mistakes when I look at the playback and I'm like, oh, God. But I don't mind leaving it up there. I'll tell you why. Because I used to be, when I was younger, I used to be the type of person that, you know, you try to be a perfectionist, right? And I've started now going back to this routine of practicing, where I would practice with my eyes closed, walking on my scales, so I could hear the notes, and then I could feel the fretboard, and I would actually not just close my eyes, but I would turn my head so I could actually get the feel of it. And there is a video on my other channel where I did this competition thing for Dean Guitars, where I'm using the old BC Rich Warlock here, and I was playing it behind my neck and actually doing a scale run on the high E and B string, and it's pretty accurate sounding. And actually, I ran my Boss ME50 right into the Hughes and Kettner, and the overdrive I used was a Tube Screamer off of that's built into the ME50. So it was just a clean sounding overdrive, and but I forgot what I was going to say now. So you get bambling on, man. Oh, yeah. No, I don't mind showing if I make a mistake here and there. Because what I've learned from my teaching experience, if I am on all the time, and I got some of these students, whether they're young or old, and they're new to this, sometimes they would get intimidated when they'd see me either with my electric or they'd see me with my acoustic doing like the flamenco style. They're sitting there, look at my hands, and they're like, I'll never be able to do that, you know? And then I would get the feeling like, hey, maybe am I intimidating these people? I thought, I don't want to do that because that's not cool. So to stop that, I would flip my guitar left-handed. And like I'll show you what happens when I flip it left-handed. And this is what I mean, but I don't mind showing people that I make mistakes because I'm human. I put my drawers on one leg at a time. It's all over, my friends. Holy crap. Look at this. Now I'm 100% a beginner. And I had friends back up in Illinois, dude, if you play like that, you'll be like Michelangelo. You go back left and right. And with practice, I'm sure I can. Maybe, maybe not. But I thought, no, I don't want to do that. Because by always doing this, meaning not perfecting this, I will always be a beginner at this. So my whole mindset right now is right down to beginner level. And now I can understand what a beginner student goes through. So, and of course their eyeballs get real big because then they start getting this confidence that, hey, I could do something that my teacher can't, because as he plays left-handed, he can't play at all. And now, even though I'm a beginner, I could play better than he's playing right now. So it kind of gives them that confidence, you know, which is, I kind of believe in. So, but, you know, we don't live in a perfect world. So I try to do things as perfect as possible, but, you know, it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. You got to keep moving forward, especially during live gigs. I call this the Ralph Crandom syndrome, and you guys could relate to this. You know, remember when he was going to be on TV, the chef of the future, and as soon as the red light came on the camera, he's habada hoopada hebada habada. Well, that's the Ralph Crandom syndrome. Right there, he was drawing attention to a mistake. Sorry, guys, that just completely dropped out. Okay. Okay, getting back to what I was saying. So, you know, you're going to make mistakes and you move forward, because when you do live shows, you're not going to be always in the same spot, you know, with the nice backdrop or the perfect acoustics. You're going to be all over. When we live streamed that live gig, when we first got there, we were supposed to be in a different spot. And as soon as I brought the gear to this one area, then the manager says, okay, no, we're going to have you move over here. So our space got even smaller and narrower, you know. So here's the reason why I don't mind using small amps or going right into the PA or something, because it's a totally different world out there now. And you just have to kind of get used to it and make adjustments. And then you have the situation where your so-called stage happens to be, once you pass over your stage, it's the same sidewalk that the waitress and all the people are walking by, and then they watch you, and then they have a few drinks in them, and they got, you know, the nice red Solo cup, gonna fill you up, and they got the beer hanging, and it's, dude, that sounds awesome, and of course they're drunk off their ass, and the beer is slopping, and if you got something expensive, and the beer slops right on, and it happens to fry something, this happened with one of our soundboards. Thank God we had a powered PA speaker we could unplug and pop right back into the speaker. And it was at a corporate event that this happened. And of course the lady, she apologized, but I'm sorry, he's not going to replace it. So that's why I tend to kind of lean toward the inexpensive stuff. You know, and it's not that I don't like the expensive stuff, I love it. But I don't want to, you know, have a heart attack because something happened. And, you know, a musician's income is always fluctuating. So we don't always have money to replace things. The Digitech is cheap. It's easy to replace. And I know the pedal. And I also have the Boss ME50 and the ME70. And those work great because they're knob to bass. Boss makes some great products. You know. But now here's the thing with Digitech. The Tone King had something on, I think a week ago. Something about his Digitech, what's going on with Digitech. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Do I have to go out and buy 12 units and just put them in storage, you know what I mean? In case something happens, you know? Or do I just adapt to whatever changes, you know? Maybe I'll just adapt to whatever changes, you know? So, yeah, that's why I do the things I do. I sometimes don't like bringing this out. I'm getting more and more attached to this guitar because I like the way it looks and I like the way it feels, you know. I love my Gibson Les Paul, but I don't want to take that out if I don't have to, you know. I did check out those Michael Kelly Telecasters, and those are great guitars, man. This guy still has that over at Educators Music. I wouldn't mind grabbing it because it's a unique finish. It's got, like this guitar's got the belly cut. The Michael Kelly's got the belly cut and it's got the contour, and it's kind of like a ocean blue green flame finish with a rosewood fretboard. And I was watching, and a lot of you guys that own Telecasters, you definitely be able to, you could have more knowledge about this than I will. But I did watch a video that Robert Baker put on. And I like Robert. He's a great guitar player. Great guy. Love what he does. But he made an interesting comment about the three essential guitars. You know, Les Paul, Strat, and a Tele. And when he was playing his Tele, and when he made the comment about how well it sits in the mix, he's right. And the Tele does have that just unique sound, and when he was playing it through the clean channel and through like an overdrive channel, it really does have a great unique sound. Guitar player from a kind of well-known band I opened up for. Let's see, sorry guys. Okay, almost stole that. Whoa. Wow. This is why, man. Advertise like you are the beginner, like you got nothing but cheap crap that nobody wants. If you have to park your car outside, now, I mean, this is just, you don't have to do this, but, you know, just have, like, junk in your car. So, you know, no one wants to break into a poor man's car because they know the poor man doesn't have jack diddly squat in it, right? But if you advertise like, man, you got the latest and greatest, boy, you are a target. And, yeah, you can get insurance. Yeah, they'll tell you, as soon as you get there, they'll tell you anything. Now, time to collect on the insurance. Now, that's a different story. So, you know. I never try to tell people what to do. Okay. But like I was saying yesterday, when I did this video yesterday, it almost started to turn into the profiling this amp, you know, and I was really trying to, you know, the guitar. But here's the deal. And Robert Baker mentioned this. You know, you can have guitars with coil tapping. This Epiphone has the coil tapping, and my Gibson Les Paul has got the, because we got the Les Paul Standard Plus, so it's got all the coil tapping and all that, and the phase reverse, and it sounds unique. That's the coil tap. But something about the Telecaster, it's just got its own tone. That it is unique, very, very unique. And I never owned one. I've been playing since 1974. I had a chance to buy one at a place called Wooden Music Company in Chicago. It was on Lincoln Avenue, Lincoln and Gray Street, a little bit north of Gray Street. And then south of that, just south of Addison Avenue on Lincoln Avenue, was a place called Chicago Music Company, not Chicago Music Exchange. I don't think Chicago Music Exchange was in existence back then. I don't remember. I don't remember hearing about it. It was a Chicago Music Company. But anyways, Wooden Music had a Telecaster like for $400 or something like that. Of course, it was American made. We didn't see the Squier brand until later on. So, but again, see, young and stupid and think that everything's going to stay the same, and of course it doesn't. It doesn't, right? So yeah, that's why I don't mind using small amps, because the convenience, the portability. And if you have to do any type of road shows, it's cheaper to drive a smaller car than a bigger vehicle because of gas, the gas prices, you know, and these fit in conveniently in there. Now, the pros and cons, if I set this up next to a 412 cab, well, you know, the 412 cab is going to leave it in the dust. And this amp does not have where you could unplug the speaker from the chassis. Back in the day, a lot of the combo amps, you were able to do that. So if you wanted to drive another 412 cab or something like that, you could do that. So I'm going to see if I can read some of you guys' comments here. Let's see, I got an arrow here. I'm afraid to touch things nowadays. Okay. Oh yeah, Ed Dana says, I hardly take two guitars. Okay, sorry guys. I'm still like, getting used to all this. Oh, what's going on? Okay. I hardly take two guitars. Haven't had the disaster I couldn't fix yet. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you play aggressively, you gotta learn how to tame yourself, because you see, you get moving around, you sweat, you could pop strings, or something could go wrong. You're trying to do a showmanship thing and grab it with the whammy bar, and it pops, and then it's a disaster. So you have to be very careful. We're not famous people that we could afford to have these guitar techs. Okay. Like bringing my, sorry about this guys. I got this arrow here. Okay, there we go. Okay, do you remember, I remember Perry's Music in Lombard, Illinois. Yeah, R2 R3. Is that place still there? I remember walking in and it was so cool, because it's literally these walls are wrapped around nothing but guitars. I did not buy anything from Perry's Music, except strings or anything like that. But the second Ibanez Artist that I bought was in 1979. And it was the exact same like my 78, except the headstock, the logo, they changed the logo a little bit. It had like a dragon type of thing, and then they just altered it a little bit. But on the back of the headstock, it had Perry's Music. So, and I bought it from a guy off of the Trading Times magazine. Oh, okay, or a Bandit. So I just saw Ed Dana's. I have, if you're talking about the PV Bandit, I have the original Trans Tube Bandit that came out in 1996. Because I was going to buy the other Bandit, and the guy at Fairview Music in Downers Grove, Illinois, he told me, he says, hey Dave, wait, because PV just came out with a new line of amps called the Trans Tube series, and we got one coming in, so if you want to wait. And I said, okay. I still have that amp, and man, that thing rocks, man. One of the bands I was in, it was a metal band, and the guy had a full stack, and I brought in my little PV, and of course I put it on like a table, and he had the stack all set up, and we'd be practicing in his cold garage in February, and man, he was amazing how loud and that little PV was, and how it just cut through the mix. And then, of course, he had a tube amp, so he had to let it warm up, and yeah, and my PV had no problem. Yeah, the Artist was a nice guitar. My PV Bandit is from the 80s. I remember that, yeah. Because that was like my special 130. They called it the Solo Series. This is what Ed Dana just put up. That about his, yeah, he remembers the Ibanez Artist. And his PV Bandit was from the 80s. Yeah. So I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to read the comments, you talk with each other, which I love. I'm all for that. Everyone to converse with each other and use this platform. That's great. Yeah. I had a special 130, which I still did. Yeah. Do you remember, Ed Dana, when the PV had the special 150? Because I also bought one of those. This is what was going on in my world. I'd buy stuff. See, because I lived in Chicago in the city, and there was no place to park a car, so what the hell why should I buy a car when I got public transportation, So I was buying equipment. And I've gone through 3 special 130s. Not that they broke down, but because I was stupid, I was doing the trade-in move. The last special 130 I had, I stuck a JBL speaker in it. And the guy that used to be the manager at Guitar Center, that's in Arlington Heights, Tony Buffalo, I think his name was. He was a sales guy at the Milwaukee Avenue Guitar Center. And I traded in my PV, and then I went back and I was going to buy it back. This is how stupid I was. Yeah. Hey, Mitch. Hey, Mitch Heyman, how are you, my friend? Doing fine. Doing fine, buddy. So, the guy, Tony Buffalo, was talking about the PV Special 130. He was like, yeah, look, it's got a JBL speaker. And I looked at him and says, I know it used to be mine. he just looked at me. Real nice guy. Then later on, when I was living in Arlington Heights for a very, very short time, I did buy a PV Special 150. And back then, the back of those amps, they had a big heat sink tank because the transformer gets so hot, you know? So it was used to transform the heat. Oh, I used an old, Trainer 212. Yeah, the twin, I remember those. Those are great amps. Does anybody out there remember Barkus Berry amplifiers? And or do you remember the Lab Series amps? Because I used to have a Lab Series L5. See, I graduated from a cheap pawn shop amp that my dad got me with the Checkmate guitar. You know how the pawn shop amps used to be? They were very narrow boxes and they were tall, and you'd have maybe you got lucky with an 8-inch speaker. Usually it was a 6-inch speaker, and the knob was your volume. It'd click on, and that was it. Oh yeah. See, I'm sorry, Barkus Berry. Yeah, Barkus Berry. My brother has an old. Okay. Yeah, Ed Dana. Yeah, you remember that. I'm sure you do R2, R3, and a lot of you guys out there that you know, whether you started playing back then or you started buying gear in the 90s, because you'd start to find all this stuff out there. Yeah, the Barkus Berry. I never really bought one, but I thought, wow, that looks cool. Because, you know, it was. Here's the thing. It had the silver plate across, and then all the knobs, and you know, anything that had knobs back then, I was like, ooh, it's got to sound good, right? So this is what happened with me. So I graduated from the little pawn shop amp, saved up. I used to work at a bike shop, Cozy's Bike Shop, but then I was underage, and the boss got in trouble, and then that was it for that. So then I worked at Jewel, saved up. I wanted to get the Lab Series L3, but it was too much money. So I bought the Crate 1R. That's when the Crate was shaped like a crate box. The reverb didn't work, but I didn't know. Then later on, I graduated to the Lab Series L5. And then after the Lab Series, I went to the Marshall, the Super Lead Series 100. I only paid $550 for it. And boy, do I miss that amp. I'm traded for the Special 130 because back then I was getting very heavily into fusion music, so I needed stuff that was channel switching, they had reverb, and the Marshall didn't have it. So, but yeah, I mean, the stuff that we had back then, it was primitive compared to now. Yeah. How about minstrel music on Milwaukee Avenue, Niles? Yeah, I remember minstrel music. Yep. Yeah. I cannot remember if I've ever been in there or not. I might have. But minstrel music. Wait a minute. I think. Yeah, I was in there. Yeah. Because I remember I had traded, another dumb move, I traded my Ibanez Artist, my 1978 Ibanez Artist, and my friend's Gibson J45 acoustic that I thought we traded guitars. I had an Applause acoustic and I traded him for his Gibson because he wanted a guitar that could plug in and the Gibson didn't. So I was all excited to get a guitar with a whammy bar. So stupid me takes my Ibanez Artist and the Gibson J45 over to Guitar Center on Milwaukee Avenue to get the Ibanez Destroyer, but the X Series guitar. You know, with the bolt-on black neck, and it had like a blue finish, blue sunburst with painted yellow zebra stripes, and it had the rail pickups, no locking trem. I mean, you want to talk about going down in quality, man. I might as well just bought the Squier Bullet, but they weren't really out there. You know what I mean? It was that bad of a trade, and boy, it was a straight trade, no problems. But then I went to Minstrel Music and I saw a much nicer version of the Ibanez Destroyer. And then my friend Angel had the Ibanez Phil Collins Destroyer, which is a great guitar. But then we all had small amps, you know, and it was a lot easier for us and cheaper. And the next thing you know, Good Time Music in Streamwood, Illinois, yeah. I don't know if those places are still around. You know, before we left, because we only left Illinois just last July, so I don't think that music store is around. Because I remember there was a place in Streamwood that we played at. I can't remember the name of this place, but you know they closed down. But we used to have a lot of good stores, man. But now, I've never been to Chicago Music Exchange, and I see the stuff on YouTube, and you know this British girl, Mary Spender. She sounds like she'd like to go and visit and spend some money. Didn't mean to take a pot shot at her. Yeah, it's like remember all these old memories, right? Oh, what part of Florida are you in? Oh, Dana, we are. My wife Deb and I, we're in North Fort Myers, so we're on the Gulf side. The next town west of us is Cape Coral. And the next town west of that is Pine Island. And then tonight we got a show in Naples, a place called the Blue Monkey. So I'll tell you, there's a lot of places down here to play. The gig you saw was live at Rusty's. That's in Cape Coral. And that gig, they had us. We were originally supposed to be set up in. Well, actually, we were really just originally supposed to be set up along this wall, which is much more room. And then, because it was raining, they were going to move us to one side of the bar, and then they changed and moved us to the other side of the bar. Let's see, Mary Spinner. I thought I saw. Oh yeah. Yeah, you know, I try to watch as many of these people's videos as possible, you know, because for me it's cool. It intrigues me. To me, all you YouTubers are the next stars. Because there's so much that I learn from you guys. Yeah. Oh, I'm in the high tides tonight. Yeah. Now, Ed Dana, are you down here in Florida, or? I tell you what, that hurricane. Man, that was something. Chicago's the windy city, but it's got nothing on the hurricanes down here. Oh, hey! I think I said Judd from UK. Let's see. My. Let's see. Sorry, guys. My wife is part British. Oh, Dana, you're Northeast Ohio. Yeah, west of Cleveland. Oh, Judd Lofthouse. I'm gonna make sure I subscribe to you, man. If I haven't already, I just try to, you know, hit subscribe and, make new friends. It's a great. I tell you what, the guitar community on YouTube is a great community, man. It really is. Yeah, but anyways, my wife is part British. Her mom's from Birmingham, England. So is Ozzy Osbourne, and so is Robin Trower. Robin Trower did a gig. Was it Eyes to the Sky in Lisle, Illinois? This is quite a few years back. And I had a little portable cassette recorder, so we saw the gig and went backstage and was meeting him, asked him if I could record. He says, "Yeah, fine, no problem." And it's almost as if the conversation switched to more of talking about the area where everyone lives at compared to now. Okay, sorry about that. I want to show everyone respect for the chat here. Okay, yeah, that's March 2017. I was in Hudson, Florida, and the tourist place right below there. Okay, yeah. See, here's the thing with Florida that I'm finding out. Okay, we have the in-season and the off-season. Okay, right now it's what they consider off-season. That's when a lot of snowbirds, they take off. Okay, and you still get a lot of tourists, and it gets very hot down here in the summer. So, since we're south of Tampa, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, it's still very heavily populated. Where I seriously doubt they see that much of a loss from the snowbirds, because they have a lot of people that's already living there. However, Fort Myers and Cape Coral is growing rapidly. It's like, I think they said on the news, Fort Myers is the second fastest growing town in the country. So we're getting a lot of people relocating down here because Florida is a no state income tax state. Cheers, Mr. Judd. Oh, no, that's our choice. Yeah, sorry, see that? I'm getting used to everything, guys, you know? Oh, Clearwater? Yeah, Clearwater's nice, man. We were originally going to move to Clearwater. Well, originally, we were going to move to Texas. You know, in the process of doing all our road shows, we'd find out about all these places, and then we were getting tired of Illinois, tired of the cold, and Tarpon Springs, too, yeah. Yeah, Mitch. When we used to come down in the early 2000s, we used to visit Deb's parents because they were snowbirds. And they'd go down to Port Richey, Florida. And then we'd go to Tarpon Springs. And they'd have the sponge, you know, all the sponges out there. The big shark hanging. You know, I think it's a fiberglass. Great white shark. It's like in their town circle there, in that area. But yeah, we used to go down to Newport Richey. And we just loved it. And then in the process of doing all our road shows, then we come across all these different places. Then you know how it is. And Dana, I'm tired of cold. I'm thinking about moving to North Carolina. Yeah, you know what? I think Joe Wentz lives in either North or South Carolina. I tell you what, Joe Wentz is a great guitar player. Man, I love watching his stuff. You know. I tell you what, I like watching anyone that plays out there. Because I can find something very, very inspiring no matter who it is. Because, you see, this is how I look at things. It's not me playing. So, you know, you live with yourself. You're used to yourself all the time. So, it could be an absolute beginner or someone that, you know, maybe their skills is a little bit limiting for what, you know, maybe for speed and things of that nature, but they might do something solo wise and just doing a certain bend or just a rhythm or something that just will grab you. It's like, whoa, that sounds unique. Here's the advantage of starting playing guitar in the time that I have, and I'm sure a lot of you guys did too, whether it's the 60s, 70s, you know, 50s. I started in 74, so it was a different time. Everybody was trying to have their own unique sound. And everyone was respecting each other. Or that's what it appeared. We were part of that first shred movement in the 80s. And how I was able to get involved in that, the guy that inspired me the most. I mean, Eddie Van Halen, when he came out with Eruption, dude, that blew the doors down. Matter of fact, I saw Johnny Bean live chat last night. You know, there's a lot of EVH guys, you know, with Eddie Van Halen stuff, and I think it totally rocks. So, oh, let's see. Jahit moved to Arizona. Yeah, Chicago. Chicago's got a lot of problems, guys. You know, I don't try to get into anything political or anything, but for this mayor to allow all this crap to go on, you know, all gangbangers could do what they want. At some point, you gotta have discipline. There's a difference between abuse and discipline. And when I hear some of this crap that comes spewing out of some of these people's mouths because they want to be so inclusive, what about the hard-working people that are not out to do any trouble? Why should they be stepped on and a criminal be praised? I don't understand this. It's a disgrace. An absolute, flat-out disgrace. And it doesn't matter a person's ethnic background or where they're from. That doesn't matter. We have rules and regulations for a reason. And it's not to be, you know, okay, I'm going to be the follower. Not everyone is you know, in office is correct. We know that, right? But when it's just, this is one of the reasons why people are leaving Chicago. Was that, you know what? High taxes. What are high taxes for? To allow crap to be allowed, you know? You gotta be a doormat? No way, man. No way. And I never try to say or do anything to disrespect anybody, or I respect and appreciate everyone's their interest in whether it's political or religion. I respect it because, you know, everyone has that right to to vote who they want for and believe what they want. You have that right. But no one's got the right to do half of the crimes that they've been doing and turn around and get away with it and say, that's my cultural background. Try that in another country. And if anyone's ever been outside this country, you know what I'm talking about. It's not going to happen. It won't fly. So there's a thing called respect. You know. But the other part of what's going on in Chicago, the taxes, they're all going up high, you know. And anyone that has any type of a business, they'll tell you, how can we continue to forecast and grow our company when now we got to think about the taxes, and is it going to put us out of business? So that's why you've been having what you've been having in Chicago, you know. Sorry guys, I never tried to. Sorry guys, bad connection. I never tried to, you know, voice any of my opinion as far as political or religion or anything like that, unless someone would have really asked me. Yeah, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, but not live in Hanover. Oh, no, okay. Yeah, see, now there's a lot of places that have higher taxes than Chicago, Illinois, you know, so it could always be worse, my friends, right? Try to make the best of it. See, that's why we like doing this, you know? You know, it's a lot of fun. It takes our minds off of it, you know, right? That's what it does. And it's interesting when I have people ask me about, oh, Dave, you're from Chicago. How about the Chicago Blues? You know, how many of you guys always refer to Chicago Blues as this? A lot of it isn't. Let me put on more clean, you know, because I remember, because the area I lived at, we had Kingston Mines down the street. Maryland is a high state tax. Yeah, Mitch. Yeah. Sweet home Chicago. Yeah, 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 yeah. But it always gets referred to this. If you play Chicago Blues, you must be playing the shuffle, right? This. I used to hear guys like Lefty Diz, Eddie the Chief Clearwater. Yes, Buddy Guy is Chicago. Yeah, he is. Now, I never met Buddy Guy. I never been to his club. My wife has been to his old club when it was on Wabash. Or was it further? I know he moved it somewhere else. But I've been to Kingston Mines when it was further down on Halsted. I was 19 years old. I just bought my Gibson Flying V. I used to sit in and do the jam sessions. But because I was underage, the manager says, listen, Dave, I got to ask you to leave after you're done playing because the cops were watching the place. And I never drank, so I figured, oh, don't worry about it. I don't want to see you lose your business. But then we had Blues Etc. Then we had Rosa's. And I remember when Rosa's opened on Armitage Avenue. This was the early 80s. I forget the guy's name. Something in the Slack band. A great guitar player. But then Rosa's got closed. And then for, I don't know, X amount of years, she was closed and then she reopened. But, so, I would hear this type of blues that was, yeah, damn right, the chorus isn't available on the, yeah. Oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan shuffles, yeah, you know. Wait a minute, see, I'm thinking of Otis Rush now, see? Okay, let me kind of clean this out a little bit. Alright, and then, like, Otis Rush would be kind of like... Okay, so some of the blues me and my friends used to jam were based off of minor seventh chords and more of a funk groove, but not much, not really funk groove, but you know, it'll be something like this. So it's almost like mixing jazz chords with it, you know. Now that's more of a syncopated rhythm than it is straight, you know, groove oriented. Or we just play it slow. Thanks, Mitch. You know how I got used to those type of rhythms? When I said earlier, about Eddie Van Halen, that he blew down the doors, and he really did, man. Nothing was compared to that. It was like Hendrix coming out all over again. 1978 or early 79 is when I first heard Eruption. Or maybe it was late 79. Anyways, I was at my friend's house, Bill Dolson's house, during lunchtime at school. He goes, Dave, check this out. And then here comes Eruption. It's like everything just blew out, man. It was like the house blew down. But I didn't know exactly what he was doing, okay? And I'm not knocking this, so this is all in all respect. But I had an idea that it was a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and it just happened to be, the tapping. Again, sorry guys. I won't stay on too long because I keep getting dropped out signals. But I mean, anyways, with Eddie Van Halen, he blew the doors down, and but the guy that really influenced me the most was Al Di Meola, and I know he's so far from metal, but the stuff he did with Return to Forever and his earlier albums was it was mind blowing. It was absolutely mind blowing. But see, his rhythms was very syncopated. So, and I was also getting into like a lot of the Latin jazz fusion and all that. But I still loved metal. I was always the oddball. I loved the classical guitar playing. I loved some of the older contemporary jazz, but not the old, the old jazz, more of the modern. Again, the metal, I will always love metal now. But there was something about with these rhythms, and of course the blues, because I mean, Chicago, see, the area I lived in had a lot of blues and jazz, so maybe I was hearing all these sounds. But how I developed a lot of these rhythms was trying to mimic what Di Meola was doing with these syncopated rhythms. Yeah? And then when I got in this top 40 band, and I figure, okay, let's say I want to make it, but I want to use everything to my advantage, right? So this is one of the reasons why I took the gig, and some of the songs I absolutely hated playing. So I was like banging my head up against the wall, but I was just biting my tongue and getting through it. But I used to practice some of these songs and these rhythms and try to practice a fade out. A lot of the albums, you notice the music would just fade out. So I was literally trying to practice how I could fade out, and still maintain the intensity, but do a fade out. And I got pretty good at that. But I also got good at what I call single string chops, which is this. And I remember doing a gig. It was at the Holodome, the Holiday Star Plaza Holodome, and back then there was that band Cameo. They had that song Word Up, and I remember walking down the corridor and seeing a guy with his guitar, not really thinking anything of it. And next thing we were playing, and we would do like 4 or 5 sets, and in between one of our sets, me and the bass player were walking. That was in the band that I was in. Our bass player, we were walking down the corridor, and then this guy opens the door, and he comes out, and he's the guitar player from Cameo. And I noticed the guys were up on top, because, back then, the singer, he had the, really big haircut, so I noticed he was watching us. So the guitar player, was talking with me. He goes, yeah, man, you got some good chops there. He told me, you could do the speed thing in that, but you could do the rhythm thing, so you know how to be versatile. Because he said, I'm going to tell you right now, as a session guitarist and someone who's trying to get themselves established, the more doors that you could have at your availability to walk through, the more chances you'll have getting in the industry. That's just how it is. Of course, that never happened. But anyways, that's another subject for another time. But then we're walking, and then we did another break, and then we happened to walk down the one hallway that I remember the guitar player was, and the guy opens up the door, and then there's the whole band right there, and our bass player. He wanted to meet the guys in Cameo, but he was real nervous. I said his name was Ernie. I said, Ernie, man, these people put their drawers on one leg at a time. One thing I noticed, when you meet these people, don't act starstruck. Because I remember when we were in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, this was 2005, for Sammy Hagar's 50th birthday, and I'm almost positive it was his 50th birthday, because my wife has the shirt, 50th birthday bash. Anyways, I'm playing at the Malaya San Lucas, because I actually named one of my CDs. It's just kind of a jazz, acoustic jazz, after the Malaya, because I took the photos. It's called Malaya, and it's the Malaya San Lucas. I'm playing poolside, and in the pool with my wife and all our friends is Michael Anthony from Van Halen. And, he complimented me on my playing, and we were talking, and at that time we were going to try to audition for Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and a lot of people, my friends, they never heard of Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Michael Anthony says, oh yeah, they're a great band. And to tell you what's going on with the industry, even back then, there was a guy asking Michael about helping his band get signed, and Michael says, my daughter plays, I can't even help her. And Michael, back then, I'm sure he still has it, he had a spice company. So a lot of these guys, and I do remember Michael saying, if I'm not mistaken, I do remember him saying, be smart with your money. Because music is a want, and find the needs, and invest in that, and then you'll always do fine, because you'll have a floating, a nice steady stream of income. So that's why originally I was going to have this, not just working with small amps, but also with gigging on cash, which I think I'll do that next week. I got to talk with my wife, because I actually going to interview her, and you guys will get a chance to meet her. And I'm sure there's a lot of you guys have the experience, and you guys will probably have advice to give to me that I never thought of, and that's what's so nice about this platform, is sharing all these ideas and sharing this, because we're in a very unique position in music where it's there's so much information out there, and yet there's information, or there's sayings about if the guitar is dead, and it's really not dead. It's everything's taken like a breather, because there's so much music out there. But if you think about it, we didn't have half of this information out there. If we wanted to try a piece of gear, we couldn't go to NAMM, we'd go to the local music store. I've only been to one NAMM, and that was 1989. My wife used to go to NAMMs out in Anaheim, California. And I was there all day in the Gibson booth, and I met this guy, Robert Monroe Turner, and he gave me one of his guitars, Monroe Custom Guitars, and I was going to help endorse it. And then I take the guitar to Guitar Center and to Guitar Shack, and he was having a hard time, and the guitar was beautiful, man, a flawless guitar. But, when you're a new company, you're going up against Charvel and Jackson. They were the big names at the time. And it's hard to get yourself in the door. Now it's a totally different time. But I'll tell you what, see, I did play real briefly with Adrian Vandenberg when he was with Whitesnake. He was in the PV booth. There was this big guy dressed like an Indian that was in the booth across from me. And I met Tommy Tedesco, and I got mixed feelings with Tommy Tedesco, who was a session guitarist, and God rest his soul, he passed away. But there was a guy that brought in his Ibanez. He had a red Ibanez Destroyer. Do you have a gig today, sir? Yeah, Bruce, I do. I have a gig later on tonight. I'm playing at the Blue Monkey in Naples, Florida, from 8:30 to 12:30. We might do a real short live stream, I don't know. But we will do some of the videos and put it up on YouTube. But, what I was going to say about with Tommy Tedesco, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm sure maybe he just had his moment on that day. Yes, live stream it. All right, Bruce, we'll try to do that. There should be no problem. Because one thing, you run out of space on your phone, and then that's you're screwed. But live stream is live stream, right? So yeah, okay, we'll do that. So, and this is not to say anything in any disrespect, but there was a young guy that had a red Ibanez Destroyer bolt-on neck, and he was a huge fan of Tommy Tedesco. So he asked Tommy, "Hey, Mr. Tedesco, will you play my guitar? I'd be an honor, sir." So Tommy's sitting down in a chair, and now maybe Tommy meant this as just kidding around. You know, us guys like to joke with each other, especially if we work construction. Did you ever play at Sam's Beach Bar in Hudson Floyd? No, I haven't. But see, now that we're down here, we're still new down here. We did play in Miami, we did play in Delray Beach, and I did play at St. Petersburg College. So we're gonna, make our way through the state as time goes on, because we're down here permanently now. We're not gonna move out of the state unless the hurricane blows us up north. Then I guess we'll move. We will move. But so this guy, Tommy Tedesco. Oh yeah, that sounds like a yeah. Oh, thank you, man. It is a lead. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thanks. I'll look into that. And any type of leads I get, I pass them on you guys' way. That's why I try to show you, hey, this is what this place looks like. This is what's going on here. And a lot is happening down here. Anyways, so Tommy Tedesco plays this guy's guitar. And like I said, maybe he's just trying to bust his balls. Like us guys, we do that to each other. But I could tell by the expression of this guy's face that he was embarrassed, because Tommy's over there. Man, what kind of piece of crap is this? Oh, dude, you gotta... And the expression on this guy's face was like, there is his idol, like cutting me down. But this is all I could afford. Maybe the guy's got a family to support. Maybe he doesn't have that much money. I'll tell you what, I could never... I don't care... I don't think I'll ever make it. But I mean, as far as that's concerned, and I don't care. I really don't care. I'm at this point in my life that I have my opinion about that whole Hollywood scene, and I think those people need some serious help. And I say it with due respect, but no way, man, am I gonna act like that? And I couldn't. I could not. No matter how good I ever get, I could never put myself up to put someone down. To me, it's a gift from God. I could stand up right now, fall on my head, and everything's over, man. No, we'll never do that. But again, maybe Tommy was just messing with him. But he should have had the intellect enough to see the guy's, to be able to read the guy. Look at the guy's face. A person's expression says it all. And he should have said, "Oh, look, man, I'm sorry about that. I'm just having a little fun, but I think you're a good guy, But he didn't, and I saw the whole thing, and I'm like, I lost a lot of respect for that guy at that moment. I still respect all that he has done. He's been on thousands of recordings. I used to read all his articles in Guitar Player magazine. But what a letdown is when you meet some of these people and they act like that. There's no reason for it. I met a couple of people that are like that, and I will not mention their names because I don't want to bash anybody, and I didn't mean to make this sound like I'm bashing Tommy, but it was just a situation that was there, and I still respect Mr. Tedesco. I just think he could have used a little bit scruples there, So, but my whole take on the NAMM show is, if I were a builder, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I'd want to... Sorry, guys, reconnecting. I'm just going to, get ready to wrap it up a little bit here. But what I was going to say is, if I was an amp builder or a guitar builder or effects builder, maybe I would do one NAMM show and see where it goes. I mean, if I got a lot of good success out of it, then I would continue. Because those boots, my wife told me, I think to rent the boots was like, back then in the 80s, like $2,500. And then you got to fly out there. Then you got your lodging. So the $2,500 is for the booth. What about everything else? See, money goes out, nothing comes back in. These trade shows, and what I mean by like that is like Sweetwater. I think Sweetwater. I'm almost positive. Yeah, it's business to consumer. The vintage guitar shows and things of that nature. I'd rather bring my product to those, because I know I could sell right there. Now, I'm not trying to knock. I know what NAMM is for, National Association of Music Merchants. It has its purpose. but we're living in different times. And at some point, when you're, especially when you're mid-50s, you cannot play financial games. If you really are not financially set, you cannot play those type of games because you're taking a strong gamble. What happens if you get sick? And that money that you just blew on a booth to get in the music store that they have to sell on a clearance and you come out losing, I don't know. You know. But I'm not too educated in that sector. I'm only saying what people have told me from what I saw firsthand when I was at NAMM show in Chicago and what I see at the trade shows, and I just evaluate things. If I were to be a builder and try to sell my product, I'd want to maybe sell my product to the consumer. Find a way to rent a cheaper booth. Try to find ways to save money. But be smart about it. You know, it's like a restaurant owner. They go for the small place that's out of the way and has a small parking lot. That doesn't make sense. You do have to think about certain things too, you know. So, but yeah, guys, you know, when I get talking, sometimes I lose my train of thought and I just blab off, and I apologize about that. But yeah, so this again, the Hughes and Kettner. I don't think they're making this model anymore. You could probably find them on eBay, Amazon. I think we paid $400 for this, brand new. And of course, now you get it for a lot cheaper. But it's a nice little lamp, man. I mean, it has a lot of distortion, but it's kind of clear, you know. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thanks for all you that have subscribed. You guys are the best, man. I totally, really appreciate you guys. And we will do a little live streaming from the gig tonight. We go on at 8:30. We're playing from 8:30 to 12:30 Eastern Time. So try to read that audience, and you know, if you get the buzz, boom, it'll be up there. You guys have a great and safe weekend. Thank you so much, Mr. Bruce. Happy Memorial Day. It's a great day to give remembrance to our troops. God bless them. And the great words of the great Canadian guitarist, Mr. Ben Coombs, always hold those doors open. I love that saying because I take that as those are the doors of opportunity. You know, it has a lot of deep meaning there. And God bless you guys. Mr. Joe Winch, you have a great day. If we see you, we'll hook up. You're going to be the first guy I'm going to interview. And then Mr. Coombs. And then I'm going to hit all you guys, man, because you're the best. Anyways, have a safe weekend. Until next time, next Saturday at 1 o'clock. Take care. God bless you guys. Rock on, my friends. Take care. Later.